Welcome, everybody, to the University of Toronto's intramural Overwatch 2. My name is Bearlight. Joining me is Spapples. Excited to bring you some Overwatch action from U of T. Spapples, how you doing today?
And I am doing wonderful, and it's doing even better now that we have the U of T official stream. I've been waiting so long for intramurals. How are you doing today?
Can't complain. You know, it's been a good day, a good Sunday. Typically, it's Championship Sunday, and they will be a champion of this best of five. So we're excited to see which of these two teams can battle it out to get that actual victory. And in fact, we got the teams. So let's go ahead and take a look at them right now, starting with the Tariffs. So srtariffs coming in with Mook, Yangad, Angel, Perry, and somebody I'm familiar with, the support in Zapdos, looking to be that glue of this roster here for srtariffs. Certainly a team to fear and look out for, because they have been a great tandem of five here recently here, Spapples.
Oh, that's a pretty good insight, because unlike you, I don't really know anybody from the srtariffs, but I am very familiar with the Blahaj Fanclub. We can lead into them next. No, we've got some very, very iconic, well-known faces. We've got Aesthetic Sock, we've got Ask Bast, Foraic, Hypothesis, as well as Dr. Tony. So all of this five-man roster is full of U of T intramurals and pug veterans. I'm very, very interested in seeing how they're going to lead us into this next match.
Yeah, I like the names and how appropriate they are as well. We talk about Hypothesis and being like a 200 IQ type of player, and then Dr. Tony with the heals, just consistently coming in and healing the rest of the team. I mean, when we talk about picking the name, they can't get it any better than the Blahaj Fanclub that we've seen multiple times here at U of T. Now, probably the favorites coming in here. Now, I do know a few from the srtariffs, sure. But that being said, they got a road ahead of them, no doubt about it. But it should be a good best of five here as we'll kick things off, as we always do on Control. So let's go ahead and talk about the map that we'll see in front of us. Now we have first, we need to hybrid map, of course, and the flashpoint push and escort if we need those two. But Busan, I was gonna say Cinnamon.
Mashup of three very iconic maps. Now, we do also have some bans. Now, the srtariffs are starting off with a ban on Widow as well as Juno. So you're seeing a really good spread out. You really want to get Widow away from your team as fast as possible. And Juno is just a very flexible, common support that people love to play, and maybe crush on a bit hard, if I'm going to be honest myself. But as for the Blahaj Fanclub, we're seeing some... some more standard bans as well. So we got Kiriko and Ash. Kiriko, again, just these flex supports that have a lot of variety, a lot of range, especially with the recent perk buffs. They go crazy. So it's really good to see them getting taken off the board. And then we also got the Ash, which is just a two-shot menace.
To the Sanctuary we go. How many times have we seen the Juno and Kiriko combination to support? I mean, they've been two of the most, for lack of better words, broken supports as of recently. So to see them kind of taken out as well, I mean, that's certainly not something that we would be completely shocked at either. Ash, of course, can cause some damage from afar, and we'll see the Sojourn in its place, essentially from the side here of Blahaj, as they do win the first initial little get-together here. Aesthetic able to take out the turret before Foraic rather takes out the Torbjorn. Behind it, will fall as well as Theic with a great job to kick things off here in this first fight, with the Tracer getting behind this Tariffs team and really causing some chaos before they can get things going. But they will ultimately jump into play here, as you see Lucio's both sides, which is cool. Amora, so Tariffs looking to cause a little bit more damage, and although they were able to cause a little bit in this first fight, you'll see Blahaj not able to win the fight. Tariffs will win that first exchange.
Yeah, but Static Shock does unfortunately get caught off guard and get with a second one. The Sombra pick really seeming to work out. Asleep, though, landed onto the Ramontra far in the back line. Angel gets another kill. And now Ferraic is just chasing down whatever beads of hope they can muster. Grumpy Mook's the one to shut that down. And it's a nice point flip over to the SR Tariffs. Now, Hypothesis does get caught out on the rotate, and Dr. Tony is being forced to retreat. Static Shock gets a kill onto Grumpy Mook in the back. And it looks like the Tariffs are the ones that are going to be sent packing.
Yeah, they were dropped back just a little bit further. As you saw, Dr. Tony got some help from the Mercy. So, like, kind of back-to-back support play, working in tandem here. So that worked out very nicely for Blahaj. But will it last here as Aesthetic does have a great line towards the back end of this comp, but it's looking like it's going to be a tough one to try to muster onto it. For Ick, here are the front lines now with the Ramontra trying to cause a little bit of damage from afar, but will be caught from the side here. Did not see the Hammond, and so that will be very difficult to try to fight away from. Dr. Tony trying to work into this engage as well. Askbass gets one, make it two. Oh man, you can lay in some damage with the Sorbjorn. Still trying to cause more here too. How does he overclock if they want it, but they've won so much in this fight that I don't think it'll be necessary.
And that was an incredibly bloody fight. The Tariffs opened up strong. It looks like Grumpy Mook is sliding all the way in. Gets a kill, gets traded out, but unfortunately that's going to be a reset for the rest of the team. As I was saying, is Angel led very, very strong with the mines, and even was able to separate Ferraic from the rest of his team. Didn't get the beat, didn't get the coal healing. It doesn't matter when they just keep finding these random picks.
They find them across, and really, it's a really open map, so you can see it cause from behind. Zapdos as well. I called their name earlier, but they will be called out as Ferraic able to come through with the pummel twice, make it two as they come in with a pack of heavy punch and looking to cause even more damage. I mean, that's Hamster's very loaded as far as health goes, but their HP drops immensely here. Grumpy does get one before they're able to drop. They were held off for a long time, but they will eventually fall by the hands of Aesthetic as they do get behind them, but only get one. The one-for-one trade as Ancat going to come around as well with the Sombra and cause even more damage. They got 3 ults online. I imagine that Blahaj is going to eventually cause more damage here too as the Ravenous Vortex trying to cause more too. Another mindset coming up for Angel too. So Blahaj, they might be in a compromised spot currently as far as percentage goes, but they do have a lot of advantage here when it comes to being on point. But can they hold up? That's a different story. As Askbass gonna get even more here. Grumpy going to return the favor though, and Blahaj trying to hold on here in this overtime. Askbass trying to cause damage from the side, but it'll be chased off. And a great flip here from Blahaj.
Oh my god, that fight. You saw ults getting thrown in ults. You get an ult, you get an ult, you get an ult, you get an ult. And some of them may have been ill-advised. I don't personally agree with the annihilation coming through from Ferraic at the very end, but they did do what they set out to do. They got 99% on the point, and now all they have to do is win one more fight. They have a Coalescence, they have a Pulse Bomb. If they can make them stick, if they can use this ultimate advantage that is being given to them, Blahaj could be walking away from this very, very successfully.
They got work to do, but they can certainly at least give it a shot here pretty early. Here's Ferraic. Again, once again, just absolutely, once you get that rolling, once again, the damage just continues to roll into you. Pulse Bomb still in hand here from Mistake if they want to be able to use it, and now might be a good time to do it, but no need to do that when you're already causing damage in the first place. Got behind the line as well. Pulse Bomb, did it land though? Not quite yet. Ferraic gets one, but it will be flipped, and Tariffs actually going to be walking away with this one as Blahaj got up to 98, but it won't matter when you get that flip. And round 1, at least, will go to the Tariffs.
All right, I do think it went to the Blahaj.
That's right. It's backwards currently.
Yeah, so Blahaj came out. They came out swinging and on a composition with a Ramontra, with a Sojourn. When you want to really set up on that point, getting that first fight win is so crucial. Then afterwards, when they're able to hold the point, when they defend, when they drag out those fights. I mean, you saw it personally. They are able to drag it out to such a degree that even though the Tariffs are able to get those advantages, they're able to dive targets, they're able to kill, it doesn't really matter in the long con, as the amount of percentage that goes over to the Blahaj is just so severe. Now, you are going to see some changes in their composition. They're rolling out on the Hazard instead of the ball. Hopefully, that's going to give them as much spontaneity that they need, all that burst damage.
Yeah, it makes sense. You go to downtown, you want to make sure you have that stronger dive, if you will. So the hazard makes sense in this certain circumstance. Although the Sombra was definitely located pretty easily. Aesthetic does some work, but Angel's able to return the favor here. One, that's where that hazard comes in handy. When you have a tank to this degree that has this level of mobility, in addition to that, is definitely difficult to try to deal with. But you do deal with it nicely, as you have to go tank for tank here. Foray gets that first exchange, so a nice job to get back on the point here. And the first one goes to Blahaj, rather, as they get onto point pretty early. But they do have a shield up, so that's a nice job to at least be able to cause a little bit of damage in the meantime. With that Ramontra, so you get a little bit of extra value over having that hazard where all you have is the jagged wall, which can only block a certain amount of sight lines. So because of that, Blahaj still walking away 30% and getting in the back line here of Tariffs. But Tariffs doing a great job to at least hold off and get the first couple of picks. It hasn't translated to a switch as far as this point goes, but the pummel's not going to work as Angad and Angel combine for a few, as they will get on point and get the flip.
An incredibly slow burn for the Tariffs. They were able to find random picks. They were able to get a kill here, a kill there, a kill there, and eventually they were able to mount up so much advantage that they were able to challenge Furiak on the point. However, the Blahaj Fanclub, they're going to come back, and they're going to come back twice as hard. They have the pulse bomb, they have the coalescence, and they are so very close to the annihilation of the overclock. That doesn't mean the Tariffs are hopeless, but they do need to engage first. The overclock gets popped off for Grumpy Mook as well as the Nano, and it gets a pick.
Nice job with the overclock. And Dr. Tony falls too. Of course, you're going to try to focus that Mora, who can cause all sorts of damage. So Tariffs doing a great job to not only get the first 3 picks, but they also have 2 ultimates in hand. In addition to that, with not even having to pop those, so the MP can stay put, and so can the Hazard ult as well, as they won't have to storm down those spikes either. They have those in hand. But Blahaj still packing 3 ultimates of their own. So yes, you won this fight. You get up to about 50%. But the next time they're going to jump at you, it'll be about that 60% when they are able to use these ultimates as well.
Very, very well done. No, it's Blahaj's turn to strike back. They got the annihilation. They have the overclock. Almost at the beat. Are they going to be able to make it go? They pop the overclock first. They're looking for the angle. They are able to get so much damage in, but no last hits. Aesthetic Stock secures the kill onto Wolf Girl, but Angel is the one to trade it back out to Ask Bast. Forayic is just running down the Sojourn. There's going to be no kill conversion from it yet. Never mind. Grumpy Mook falls to Hypothesis. Now the Brigitte gets caught out in the middle of battle. Hazard Angel is looking for anything that they can, but unfortunately they're not able to walk out with anything.
Hypothesis caught a little bit of heals from Dr. Tony in just the right time. They're going to hold on to this beat as well as this fight develops here. So Blahaj not only gets the point back, but they do have an advantage as they're able to stagger a couple as well. And they'll have annihilation in hands here from Forayic whenever this next battle ensues here. So looking at Tariffs now with a couple of ultimates of their own, but they're going to have to be able to use these wisely. They're going up against an annihilation and pulse bomb as well. Luckily, they'll have the beat in addition to this. So EMP is going to land here, and Angad gets a couple there as Forayic and Dr. Tony both going to combine, and they're both going to fall, rather. And so that's a great start here from Tariffs as they'll try to get behind as well and get, again, with this Sombra, again, finding extreme value, able to push them off. Not only that, but able to flip the point here. They'll be at the 73% and right back in control of back and forth battle.
The Tariffs are absolutely, they're just so very scrappy, and they're able to make deal with what they got in such an impressive manner. And we are entering last fight territory. Both of these teams, they have a bunch of ultimates ready to go. It's time to let them rip. Now the Hazard with the early ultimate is able to secure that angle. Everybody's off the high ground. Aesthetic Sock is the first casualty. Does this spell doom for the rest of the team?
And they do have that jagged raw up, so they'll be able to hold on and jump onto it, but it could cause this overtime. But for how longer can they hold on here? As now they'll have this Forayic right back on site, trying to cause at least as much damage as they can, and plenty of health to work with as well. But 1, 2, 3, 4 from Tariffs is going to be able to knock them completely off. And just when you thought Blahaj had a chance to jump back on, it was a great combination effort from the Sojourn to cause so much damage with that jagged wall to kick it off. But then you had again the switch over as well, and round 2 will go to the Tariffs, and we will go to round 3.
Excellently done by the Tariffs that round. You feel like that tank swap is just what made everything click, right? Hazard being able to buy the space, being able to apply the damage pressure that wasn't really present on the ball, really gave Grumpy Muck, gave Engad all of that space that they needed to be able to not only survive, but to thrive. And aside from that, really, the Tariffs, they were able to win all the fights that they should have, and they were able to push even the fights that they shouldn't have. Getting those wins when you're behind an alt economy, as they did, is very, very, very strong. And you can even see Ferraic is following the example, or going Hazard. It's a Hazard mirror now, and Aesthetic Sock off of the incredibly impactful Tracer, but onto the Mei. Are they going to be able to shut Tariffs down?
They're going to need to. They're absolutely going to need to. Tariffs are gaining some momentum from that last round one. And here's Grumpy from a distance, going to cause even more so damage, as Sojourn now having to deal with the backline pressure here. You see the Hazard having to fall back and try to at least hold off Ferraic, but Ferraic has done enough damage here already with that Hazard to try to jump in and make sure that no more damage is done. Grumpy has fallen off, so Sojourn not going to be present here for this next fight for Tariffs. Instead, they will fall down, and look how quickly that ultimate is jumping up, though, from Grumpy, as they're already up to 44% on that overclock. If they can pop that, it would be a big fight. But Dr. Tony, you can say the same thing from the Blahaj, as they do have 14% and still fighting into this area of the Terrors where they just can't find any kind of traction.
Yeah, I mean, the Blahaj are just expertly taking advantage of what I like to say, what I like to call the Fortnite builds, is that they just have so many wall building characters. Coalescence comes through. Overclock is the one to get the kill into Hypothesis, and now Grumpy Muck is sliding in incredibly aggressively, trying to shut down the Coalescence any way they can. They're unfortunately not able to. Now they're just free firing through onto the point. Aesthetic Sock does fall, but the Nano Boost is able to keep Angel on the board. Getting that double Nano from the brand new perk is very, very nice, able to give that extra level of survivability. And now Angel is just able to turn quickly onto Ferraic, and that's going to be a nice point flip for the Terrors.
Yeah, and Ferraic, they did not get that ultimate off either, I don't believe. So because of that, that's very detrimental. And Terror's able to kind of walk on without anybody getting stuck, without any kind of damage coming around, because you like to play off of that Reapers especially. And then you have the Torbjorn as well, with both the Tariff and getting it into your face and causing even more damage. It's difficult to do. So Angad looking to create more space, as well as Blahaj is going to come and try to challenge this point. Here it comes, as they have the ultimate out now, trying to at least get their own sun with the high noon, but no real damage caused. They also have to beat down and position this, so the ultimate from Blahaj will certainly put them on the point, at least a little bit closer here, as Hypothesis is able to land one in addition. Aesthetic gets one as well. Zapdos only against the turret, but because you're distracted by this, that means Blahaj can just absolutely take the point by storm, and they have that 50% already. It'll tick even higher here after this one.
Yep, the beat really paved the way for them, especially against Angad, who was just way too close on the Cassian, to be frank with you. And it's after getting punished like that, it's going to swap off onto the Soldier. Angel with the Hazard ultimates, are they going to be able to make any follow-up happen? The Soldier gets caught off guard, the Death Watch is going to get the kill, but Asbrax does fall shortly after. Coalescence just completely beams Hazard, as well as Ana falling shortly too. We're entering last fight territories. We're having a last-ditch attempt at contesting the field.
When you're allowing Hypothesis to just go at work like that, another boop off here from Ferraic. Once again, it's just very difficult to try to maneuver it whenever they've just plain and simple just been able to control the map a little bit better than Tariffs right now. So prime position for sure from Blahaj. I wonder if they can even get the point. The sleep will certainly help, so they will get behind him here, as now it's an opportunity here from Angel to try to kick things off here with the wall, spike wall as well, to try to dive in with the slash and get also getting one on Aesthetic to at least start off the fight, and one DPS down on the side of Blahaj will allow Terrace to at least challenge it in the first of the match. With a couple of kills will keep things rolling, as well as Angad down close as well. Dr. Tony will fall, and now Terrace in a difficult situation, just need to stay on point. They do have the Lucian, so they have a little bit of at least a little bit of mobility to try to keep it alive here in the overtime as they try to break in and cause this point, but it looks like they were knocked off just in time, and Blahaj will take map 1 here at Busan.
And that was so incredibly close. You saw the back and forth battling. But again, Blahaj's specialty, when they get a hold of that,
this ends now. Let's kick this up a notch.
Your aggression, they know how to fall back. They know how to position themselves so expertly well that it just really became a slow burn against the Terrace. And it was very, very difficult for them to keep up in the long term, on the long con, when the ultimates came up and down that play.
Yeah, it was when you staring that kind of down the face. I thought that Terrace did a decent job to at least hold him off temporarily. Blahaj certainly created value when you already have that high percentage lead, and then you're also finding boobs in addition to that when Terrace got really very much so linear focused and then did not realize the multiple avenues at play that Blahaj can kind of work around. And so Blahaj certainly found that advantage here, and that was definitely their best round out of all of them, even though it was relatively close. I thought their creativity towards the tail end there in that round 3 really is what pushed them over the edge and gave them this 1-0 lead here in this best of 5.
Yeah, I mean, I want to especially highlight the tanks in this matchup, both for Feraic and for Angel, is the amount of like raw creativity and the usage, especially when they were both on Hazard with the walls and how they're able to shut rotations and isolate people. It was magnificent to see. And when you're on the receiving end, when you have this massive 700 HP tank swinging at you, putting a wall behind you so you can't escape, and in fact booping them towards you, it's a little scary. And especially when done right, it almost feels like there's no counterplay. But now that map is over and we have all those bans that are opening up again, because in the intramurals, our format is when a character is banned by either team, they cannot be banned again. So now you have Juno, you have Kiriko, you have Ashe, you have Widowmaker, all permanently available for the rest of the series. I'm really, really interested in seeing how that sort of opens up the battlefield and sort of informs how our strategies are going to molds to fit that moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how much value? I talked about it whenever the bans did come through initially, but I mean, the Kiriko, it's a matter of now you're probably going to play those both times. Just Kiriko's been around and has still found value no matter what. The Juno also as well. Now you can get creative a little bit depending on where we do go here for the hybrid, but I still imagine that there could be a situation where we see that combination almost all the way throughout, just based on how much value you're able to get. That being said, I mean, the Lucios from both teams here honestly got so much value as well that's where I love the bans that we put in place here for intramurals here at U of T, because that really opens up your repertoire of heroes that you can bring out here. And the Lucios give you so much mobility, plus not to mention the buffs that came just a couple of patches ago, where you can just lay out some damage in addition to that. So allowing Lucio to be mobile and cause damage and have the beat at the end of the day, like we saw utilized in that map 1, I really do think that maybe we'll see some Lucios throughout, but obviously that's very support focused. But that's where you truly build your composition around, are those supports. So it is very important that we take a look at those.
Yeah, and just you hit the nail right on the head, right? When you look at the supports, and especially with those Lucio plays, and it really makes me think about how they're going to sort of structure themselves around the next couple of bans, because it is very, very rare for support role to completely avoid them. So are we going to see an Ana ban next? Are we going to see Baptiste get taken out? And how are those strategies going to be affected by it? Because having your Kiri TP Suzu or your Juno Speed Ring plus Orbital Ray available for the rest of the series, that is a lot, and it's enabling so many strategies moving forward. Now it does look like we have our next map locked in. We're going to be sent over to Numbani. Okay, Numbani. We're cooking now. We're cooking. It's more of a heavy dive map, but
yeah. This isn't King's Row. This is wild. I love this. Very tight quarters. Obviously, you have just like you have with any other map here with Numbani. Of course, getting on the first point, there's plenty of flank routes, or at least there's one major flank route to look out for. So Numbani can be very linear at first. Obviously, as would be expected with the rest of it being a hybrid here, but that allows with plenty of corners here, the Ramatra to be an option potentially, especially the pummel kind of getting in to building in that lane. If you do have like a Tracer or Sombra that you're trying to get on the back lines, as you typically find. Now, as far as bans go, it looks like we'll be getting in those in shortly here as well, so we'll kind of cover those. But that's my initial thought. What are some of the heroes from the maybe from the DPS standpoint that you're looking for here?
Yeah, I mean, Numbani is a classic map for, two different sort of styles of heroes. You have a lot of your flyers, so your Echoes, your Pharas, characters with a lot of mobility that are able to, really get on the high grounds or pepper people down on the high grounds. They're very, very, very powerful. And then in addition to that as well, you have your flankers, your Tracers, your Sombras, your Genjis traditionally are very, very strong. They have that sort of mobility that allows them to take the high ground if they need to, but also to take up different positions and sort of flank the enemy, especially because on the defensive side on this map, you don't really have too many options. And it does look like we have our first round of bans from the SR tariffs is going to be a Mercy Torb ban. So that really targets actually both of what I was about to say, or what I was saying, is that your Mercy is a very big component of enabling your flyers, your Pharas, your Echoes, but then also Torbjorn is very strong at shutting those flank routes down. And if you have a Torb turret at the end of a hallway or around a corner, it is very difficult for your flankers to get by, at least unnoticed or unscathed.
Yeah, it's 100% accurate. So to be able to just lock that down, have the peace of mind is certainly big. We'll see Brig and Sojourn banned from Blahaj here as well on the opposite side. So I'm not going to get the rally, which is pretty valuable there, especially like the back line lockdown. Not to mention, like we mentioned, we saw a lot of skill, at least enough to be worried about the overclock from both teams. And so they said from Blahaj, they said, why not just like lock this down for the first in the first place? Let's see another hit scan. Ash does open back up here, so that's a viable option here, maybe in their place. Could be an option as well. So we'll keep eyes there as well as we're about to head into map number 2, brought to you by BMO. To help you focus on what's important, BMO has checking and saving accounts, credit cards, and borrowing options specifically designed for students. So not to mention you get up to 12 months of Domino's pizza worth $190 with BMO's current student offers. Make sure, Spapples, you want to make sure that you visit bmo.com/students for details to get on the best deals there as well. And BMO Next Level, twitch.tv/BMO_NXTLVL. Live every Thursday at 7 p.m. It's something that you really don't want to miss, Baffles, alongside here this Overwatch side.
And sorry, were you saying my name? I was just thinking about that pizza. All right, it does look like we're going into Numbani now. I'm really excited to see how these teams really shake up. One thing I did want to point out about your mention of the break ban is that Ana is still open, but Ana is a very, very frail old lady, and she can get absolutely dove on unless you're very confident with your ability usage. Right? If you have a very confident Ana who knows how to land their sleep darts, and most importantly, they're confident in their own ability. They're able to take those advanced angles and they're able to toss out their nades and not have to rely on it for their personal use. You're able to do so much damage as on this map, but it does look like our defending team, the Blahaj Fanclub, are opting out of even taking a Lucio. They're not going to have any boop ability. Instead, they're going to be running Moira with Dr. Tony.
Yeah. I mean, they got a lot of value out of that Moira, so I don't blame them to some degree. It is a risky move here with the Ana Moira, but you do have very much so an interesting combination with the Winston Cassidy in addition to this, and the Tracer on that flank as well defensively. So we're looking for that high ground type of dive situation where it can be very difficult to go up against. And Aesthetic, when you're going 150 versus 150 HP, sometimes you can just bop them on the head, and that's where we saw the first blood drawn here as Hypothesis is able to get in and cause even more damage, as by the time Anshul is able to get into it, the deed has been done here. Blahaj still trying to cause damage as Askbass just doing a load of damage as well from the high ground.
Yep, very, very well landed abilities. Hypothesis is sleep, just being able to completely shut down Angel's advance, and then after being forced to pull out, sent the anti-grenade right back after them and made sure that they had to take a long reset timer. Now, Aesthetic Sock again is on the flank, is setting up for a very, very strong fight, but the anti-nade getting set up to the top lane is enough to ruin Hypothesis's game plan and get lands the final blow. Aesthetic Sock is being forced out from below. Are they going to be able to take advantage of this?
And Hell was able to somehow get away with their lives. I'm not sure how that happened, but they will certainly take that. There's no doubt about it. As you see them up close and personal, but can they take them off in the flank route? Yeah, sure enough, you can. Dr. Tony got a little bit too anxious there. Jumped up in, really got too close. When you fight with fire, you got to look out for the fire the other way. Angel able to do a couple, and Angad got in the love too with that Ash, now resurging from that first map ban and showing all sorts of signs of life here, as they're not even going to wait back here and see what develops here. They've already able to gain that point, and now they're going to jump up and cause even more damage before Blahaj can even get back to challenge in the first place.
Yeah, but Angel making sure to take that space and really deny Blahaj from being able to set up properly. You can see how far back Hypothesis is being forced to play. It doesn't seem like they're going to be having a contest, at least on the first or the second corner of the point. Aesthetic Sock, though, is running through directly, ignoring the Tracer right onto the back line, being forced to defensively anti-grenade. The Curie ults does run through the point, and you see Father's taking a little bit of a nap.
With a high noon, but nothing landed. In fact, you saw Hypothesis get pulse bombed from behind. It's a little bit of overkill there. You said, Anna's an old lady. Why are you throwing pulse bombs on her? Goodness gracious, holy cow. Aesthetic able to get one again. That's the second time we've seen Tracer on Tracer boxing match where they come out on top. So hey, credit them where credit is due. And Foraic is getting in on that Winston as well. Angel forced all the way back out the back door as well. So you can say that, you know, Tariffs did a great job of always creating a little bit of space, but Blahaj has been able to take that space back. They're just not able to win these one-on-one fights. Because once again, you see the difficulty of them trying to fight from the sides and try to at least cause a little bit of damage for the ones that are trying to flank on the back side. But a difficult exchange as well as they're working their way towards this choke point through tunnel, as it's just very difficult for them to try to jump into this break. Again, a difficulty on the bottom side as well. In fact, Zapdos gonna get one from the Curie. We said how much damage they're able to cause and at least be able to get in there, get hot, but Hypothesis and Aesthetic will get a couple as well as they jump onto point. You see Dr. Tony as well as they jump in just at the right time. Zapdos gonna have trouble trying to work the Doctor, as he has gone to school for a very long time for this exact purpose, and Blahaj Fanclub has absolutely dominated Tariff's ability to try to take that space. It was denied.
And I already know that the Tariffs, they're incredibly sad. The Nano Boost getting Ajaxed, flying through, trying to find the Winston a little too late, and it has to force them into a full retreat. And this is the exact kind of foothold that the Blahaj need. They're able to take control of the high ground. Is Aesthetic Sock able to sandwich them more from below? You see they're taking the stairs upwards. Grumpy Mook with the nade.
Again, just getting in down and dirty. Aesthetic waiting for the right time to strike on this one. Grumpy does get one. Dr. Tony returns the favor though. Zapdos finally down, trying to deal with that Curie. Had been difficult previously, but they were able to at least cause a little bit more, as Anel still in the back lines and almost got to it, but Wolf Girl will finish off on the Foraic. So it's very rare that you see a Ana on Winston drop down, but sure enough, that's what we're going to see here too. The recall is going to put them on top lane too. That was a great job. The Deadlock just trying to dive into a little bit of that bob, knowing that you're going to fall, but Angad being the beneficiary of that exchange, make on another one too, as Hypothesis will fall Aesthetic as well. So a great job from Terrace to dive directly back in, at least get it going. They'll still have 254 to push towards this tail end of this one as they gain that clock back after gaining the first point.
And that Bob placement was absolutely exquisite. You just saw the amount of damage and the amount of pressure he was able to dish out. You disrespect Bob, you pay with your life. Now we are going to see some swaps over from the Blahaj. They're on the Kiriko now instead of Ana, and they're also on Hazard. They're really looking to sort of change up their strategy and more so dive as a unit. They're going to mobilize as a team. They're going to go in deep when they can. Now you are going to see Angel getting in deep. Coalescence pops off just to sustain everybody, make sure they're all nice and healthy. Dr. Tony just absorbing all of that pressure for the rest of the team.
Yeah, and it will cause damage in the meantime too, at least making them think twice before they jump back onto this point, so I like that too. Jagged Wall will let them get out with their lives too. Not only that, but dive on the back wall, back line where you saw the Winston try to dive into. It's so dangerous to try to, you know, utilize that when you know that Hazard can jump right back on you, but they do get that health buff once again as they had some support from the back line. Shout out Zapdos, who's been doing a great job of that, plus Wolf Girl has certainly been landing their shots in addition to that, but Angad's gonna have to back out because they see just how much pressure has been mounting from Blahaj, who continues to jump in. The flanking Tracer has been a large part of that as the Ash will fall. You see Ano here trying to just gain some traction back. Zapdos on the back line. In addition to it, they have the Kitsune Rush as well if they do want to pop this, but it looks like they might want to save this for a different fight. No, they're going to use it now. They're going to jump in support. They do have the Pulse Bomb if they want to, but the Pulse Bomb the other way, Aesthetic is able to cause some more damage on the point. Now it's Anhel trying to hold on to this point push as they've gotten so close, but so close only counts in horseshoes. They're going to be very much difficult here, but Anhel again causing more Angad to combine here on the back line, and Terra's looking to push in. It's very low on Hazard. Hazard's just got a little bit left. Anhel's still going to cause a little bit and do have their entire life in addition to this. Just 46 seconds left, but they did a great job of pushing Blahaj back, and they should be able to cap this point if they continue with it. They just have to catch this Tracer, and that's been extremely difficult to do. So trying to dive in and cause a little bit of chaos, push them off the back line, but Aesthetic did a great job to just hold off with just 4.77 meters, and it looks like they might be able to do that. Push back to spawn though. Can they get back on it as well? Down to 22 seconds left, and now it's probably going to push into overtime the way they've been able to get back onto this point.
Yep, this is your last fight. 10 seconds remaining. Blahaj have done an excellent job at holding onto the point so far. Now they have a Pulse Bomb as well as a Coalescence just sitting in their hands waiting to be used. Use me, they say, use me. And get is the one to find the kill with the Hypothesis, and that's a major source of healing down. Coalescence does come through. Are they going to be able to hold on off this point?
Oh, the Pulse Bomb. That should at least push them back a little bit further and, you know, push the clock. Starts to tick a little bit. Zapdos and Angad pushing into where they're lined up, but they've forgot about behind. Again, once again, maybe the Cloud9 here. Angad Wolf Girl. What a great shot as well. Zapdos on the point, so they will break all the way through and get to the final point. But it took every single ounce of the clock to get all of the meters they needed here for this one, but it does put that ultimate goal on the board here, the 3 points for the Tariffs, and will force the hands of Blahaj Fanclub.
And everything, all of that fight came down to one single moment. Watching Wolf Girl hit that sleep on Aesthetic Sock and executing, taking them out of the fight, it was just marvelous. That was the one play that completely unraveled what Blahaj were going for. And then after that, it was just a matter of cleaning up. And you saw that Ana, she got maybe kill participation on 3 or 4 kills there with an absolute menace. And I mean, on the other side, it was just a tragedy that Hypothesis fell so early on the Kiriko and was not really able to benefit the rest of the team in the way that that fight should have gone. Right, the Coalescence from Dr. Tony really helped them stabilize. At the end, when the dust settled, it was Tariffs who were the victors with their excellent plays.
Yeah, based on where they were just a few minutes ago, 100% agree. You know, that being said, 0 time on the clock feels difficult, especially the way that we've seen Blahaj Fanclub on Control, where they can certainly take a point by storm. So we know that they're going to be able to get onto this point very quickly. So to really be determinant of, you know, how long you can hold them off here. I think if Tariffs are able to hold them off for a majority of this first 4 minutes here on the attack, then perhaps they give themselves a great opportunity, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, I mean, despite having a great dive as we've seen before on this map and the previous one, it looks like Blahaj are opting for a rush start instead. They've got the May, they've got the Ash and Ramatra. Zapdos is the one to secure the first kill on the Aesthetic Sock, not having a good start to this round, and now they're just fighting for their lives. They're going to continue to secure this low ground and sort of prepare themselves for when Aesthetic Sock does return.
I like that Frigg look there, because you have so much damage you can throw through a tiny window, and then you at least cause a little bit of damage here, but you forgot about behind you, where Grumpy was able to take a side route of their own. They said, oh, you're going to go through buildings, so well, I'll just tuck back behind, straight through streets and get behind you and cause a little bit of damage there too. But you ran into Frigg, so Frigg is able to pull out the pummel and put you into submission here as they do drop them. But how far can they get through? Because again, they do have a shield here to try to cause a little bit of chaos from the Ashe. The Kiriko cannot quite cause a little bit of damage, but the Kiriko will eventually break through, and so will Wolf Girl as they combine for a couple here. Tariff still trying to hold them off and doing a great job of doing exactly that. We said that they didn't want to be able to hold off this push, and now you're absolutely surrounded as this man. I don't care if you're going to jump in or not here. You're still going to fall eventually, so great job to kind of stagger in the kills in addition to it to cause even more of a delay here for Blahaj.
And that was just a beautiful double nade setup. You got the Ashe Dynamite going into burn everybody, and then Wolf Girl hit an amazing anti-nade just to make sure that nobody was able to heal. They're all on fire, they're all taking so much damage, they're being zapped. Oh my god, what is happening? And when the dust settled, the Ascetic Sock was the only one left behind. Was getting slowly staggered out. Now Dr. Tony is the one that's closest to a coalescence. Is it going to be able to make a turn? No, it seems as the Kitsune Rush has been able to meet them first.
Yeah, now you've got an opportunity here to dive in if you want to. I know it's not going to want to do that because they have Primal Charge. They've also got Bob. They've got Pulse Bombs in addition to that, plus the Nano Boost. The Tariffs are sitting pretty here in this next defensive sequence as Blahaj is trying to throw everything they could onto it. And yes, you know, they have a little bit of space, but it's still going to be extremely difficult. So Tariffs have done a great job to hold them off. They got the Pulse Bomb here, but they are so low where Dr. Tony can just get you going here pretty early, drop you to a little bit of a nuisance and make it difficult here too. Let's look as that one lands too. The Bob out to try to cause a little bit more here from Tariffs, and Variak is just gonna have to kind of fight into this one as much as you don't want to. You still have this opportunity here, and now have Annihilation. They should be able to utilize this if they can get onto a place where they want to be able to use it. Beat down as well, so you've got ultimates out from both sides now as Blahaj trying to hold off from the multiple. Also the Nano Boost as well to jump in and allow the Winston to try to go to work. Hypothesis will drop though, and still being able to cause a little bit more as they're able to hold off, stand tall, stand their ground. Anno will, as well as Farag, will drop, and now they're down to 50 seconds and still don't have the point.
Yeah, it was an absolute bloodbath of a team fight. You just saw fists flowing left, right, and center. But now as the team are ready to regroup, they have 30 seconds remaining. They need to rush their way to the point right now. Now, what do the Blahaj have in their favor? They have a Bob, they have an Annihilation, but are they going to be able to land them in a spot where it really matters? Nobody's been able to move Wolf Girl off of her high horse, and the Kitsune Rush is just making sure that this high ground is untapped.
Yeah, again, there's just no space to work with. Angel's been insane with this Winston, just knocking them and gaining a little bit of space, and then you see the Ashe jump into their place. But that being said, Zapdos is down. That's gonna be huge as Akiri's not gonna be there. Wolf Girl trying to hang on for the lives as well, just barely have it. The Annihilation, so this was the exact push that you wanted. Sure enough, you wanted this to happen a few minutes ago, but surely enough, at least Blahaj able to gain the points. And now is here where it's an extremely important push here. You want this first push to go pretty well. Ask Mask and Aesthetic here gonna start this off exactly how they want to, but they've only got 2 minutes to push towards this first point.
Yep, that was the crack in the armor that Blahaj needed, and now that they're pushing through on second point Numbani, it is very, very difficult for teams to find their footing on this point. Now, there is a pretty unique opportunity for the Terrorists to come through. Oh, it does look like we have a bit of a pause. Unfortunate, but we're going to continue to sort of, talk our way through our thought process here and, sort of round that through. So,
yeah,
when you're looking at the overall state of the match, yes, the Tariffs, they started off in a better place, right? They were able to secure first point faster. They're able to get through the second point faster as well with more time remaining. But then what ultimately happens is they got hung up on third. Now, I'm not saying that it's a good situation to be in, but it's not unheard of for a team such as Blahaj to, sort of make a similar run, even though they have significantly less time.
I think so as well. I mean, the way that they were able to gain a little bit of momentum, even in fights where it seemed like the ultimates were outmatched, they still found creative ways to get around it. I think it's the comp, Askbast did finally utilize that Ashe the way that I'd like to see it there towards the tail end. So I'm certainly looking towards them and Aesthetic, who's just been absolutely stellar. They're going to need some more of that play, though. Their DPS is where it really leads the charge there for Ick. Again, with the pummel, found some as well. Annihilation in hand and was ready to beat up on some others there for Tariffs. So we already know that Dr. Tony and Hypothesis, when they've been able to pop off, they've been able to combine from the support side. So it's up to the rest to really follow suit and make sure that that value doesn't go unappreciated, if you will.
Yeah, but see, the one thing that is puzzling me, that's been, stewing in the back of my mind that I haven't really been able to shake quite yet, is why the swap off of dive? Right, Blahaj have seen very comfortable on it before. They've made, multiple plays. They played on Winston. They played on Hazard. I'm just confused now why now out of all timers are going to be able to switch off of that and sort of jeopardize their own push, right? We know how confident they are, and quite frankly, Numbani being dive on attack is a little easier than it is to defend on, especially without the Brigitte. So, all of those things combined, what do you think could be the root cause behind all this?
Confidence is key. I think. Which is, I don't know, to be honest. Like, I literally, I watched, that work for them on Control, and to see them kind of deviate from that on a map that really says that it could be that way. It should maybe just a matter of that first push went, and they just said, listen, let's make a switch. We know we can land shots. We know we can find some value from the Ashe. So maybe it was just circumstances of I didn't get to play Ashe last time. That's my comfort pick. I really want to hop into it, and maybe we can get some poke going. In the meantime, at least be able to push, especially as you go down and the sightlines can become a little bit longer. But in my opinion, I would say that they would be more advised to be back on that dive. It certainly hasn't helped them currently, but let's see what they get back to here. That's all you can do. At the meantime, it's just you can speculate all you want to, but at the same time, these players, they know what they want. They know the heroes they want to go to, and if it went better, I would say, hey, listen, I love welcome the change. I just haven't seen enough to convince me that they're going to be able to make this push, man.
All right, I am hearing confirmation that we are coming back from the pause. Cool. To set the scene for you guys yet again, is that the Blahaj Fanclub, they just secured first point. They're pushing through triumphantly through to the second point, and they are trying to make sure that their way is clear. Aesthetic Sock with a massive flank almost takes Ash's head off clean just like that. Dr. Tony's the one to finish the favor, and Aesthetic Sock blinks around the corner to secure the kill for herself.
Blinks in, able to get that kill, secure it. Great job. Also, the ones that are low, so that'll be an easy pick off as well. So they're moving with a vengeance as well, too, as you see the push into it. And in fact, it's Pulse that's able to get Hypothesis drops Zapdos, so they won't have their Kiri for this next individual fight, too. So this push to this next point has been great. Tracer on Tracer action has typically favored Aesthetic. It almost did yet again. In fact, Freydick rather is going to be able to drop Grumpy. So Grumpy has just had a difficult time, number one, dealing with a Tracer, but number two, being able to deal with anybody else when they were distracted by it.
Yeah, Bob, as well as the Nano Boost, is going to make sure that this momentum is put to a complete stop. The Tariffs have recovered the control of the payload. Now they're looking to set up for their next fight. There's 40 seconds remaining, and Zapdos with a nice double headshot onto Aesthetic is going to completely have them reset. Now, the Blahaj Fanclub, they do have Annihilation coming up soon. They have the Pulse Bomb coming up. They got Bob coming up. They've got Beats. This Tariffs one opportunity, and they took it.
Here it is, and you have your end. You got to follow it up and be able to kind of capitalize on it here. A Pulse Bomb in hand and a chance to blink right in and try to get to it, but they did lose track, and so now you'll have the Primal Rage and the Kitsune Rush on the other side, so you want to see the Tariffs be able to utilize this in addition to it. Aesthetic with the Pulse Bomb out here on flank two, trying to drive in. Freydick getting some damage going with the pummels. We'll have this, Annihilation directly after they try to use the rest of this pummel, you imagine. But Aesthetic is doing some damage in addition to it. Angat does get one back over time. You have to be able to push here if you're Blahaj, but they just can't find any traction. Once again, Inhale able to take out Ask Beast as the Primal Rage continues to primal on and make it difficult for them to push here at the last tail end of this. They haven't been able to gain it here. 0.72 left, but will they come up short? Not looking like it here, as Hypothesis was able to boop one out, and Aesthetic captures one here on Zapdos, and Angat down as well. They do get point, and they'll have a minute 18 to make this final push.
Absolutely hectic final fight. There's Blahaj absolutely throwing everything at the wall. This is their opportunity to make some swaps if they see any fit. But they've gotten over the hard part. They've gotten over the dive segments of the map, and now they're going to be running forward as this Ramatra composition. They're going to be trying to shut this out. They want to get to the end. They want to get to the overtime. Angel actually swapping over to the Orisa, making sure that, okay, if they're going to work Ramatra, if they're going to try and walk over my team, I'm going to be the shield. I'm going to stop them in their tracks and to prevent them from progressing forwards.
Shield by just being able to have just so much more health to try to dive and get in that kill before that Lucio could at least get their heals back up after getting the speed boost for quite a while now too. They're trying to capitalize with even more too, healing out, but will it be enough to be able to keep them back on their front toes here? I don't know if it's gonna be enough to be able to accomplish that, as they're still trying to loop into it as well. Farek, you see him on the front line as well, trying to at least get one. Aspas gonna get one, but not more than that too. Plus they have their ultimates, Terra Search ready, Kitsune Rush ready as well for this team. They should be able to hold off whenever they want to. It won't even matter. They won't have to use them at all, as now it'll be Tariffs able to capture here at Numbani, and they will even the series here at 1.
And they brought us back to 1-1, and I didn't think it was going to happen at the end of Busan. When I was looking at it, it was looking pretty confident on the side of Blahaj, but the Tariffs, they really showed up in a way that you can't really call for. It was a beautiful series of fights. They really knew how to read the map. I'm going to be honest, it kind of came to that. They knew how to play the map to its strengths. They played dive when dive made sense, and they were able to swap off to that sort of bunker composition when they were on the defensive side. And now there's a lot of flexibility and a lot of strength coming out from the tank in particular. The tanks were the most frequent swappers in the series so far.
Agreed. Yeah, when you see like a Ramatra go to Hazard, goes to Orisa, throughout the entirety of this map, it's just it's who's gonna gain that little bit of advantage. Angel, you saw that ultimate ticker tick up from like 0 when they made the switch to Orisa. To like 100 pretty quickly. It didn't even utilize it, by the way. I didn't even have to, as the Bob was laying in from Angat as well. So Tariffs found so much value in those ultimates and still had some on the table as well. So Blahaj, credit them, because they went to overtime with plenty of meters left before they even hit that first point. So to be able to get as far as they did certainly shows that they have some heart in them, that they have that talent, but just that first push was ultimately what held them back, and why we call ourselves even at 1 instead of them being able to capture it and us going to another set of rounds there at Nimbadi.
Yeah, I just can't wait to see where we're going to go next, because Escort was a very objective focused game mode, but now next we've got Flashpoint coming up. There's going to be more of a return to control, but with a lot more momentum hitting behind it, right? Because you're going to have your flashpoints. There's going to be no resetting, no pausing. There'll be a constant duel, back and forth in the way that the tides play in and out on each other. Historically, at least, we've seen that Blahaj have had a very strong advantage when it comes to sort of reading those fights and being able to engage, especially when they're able to win their first fights. Now, we do have a lot of bans open, right? I'm going to speculate here a little bit, saying maybe that
Sure.
Lucio is going to get taken off the board for this next map. Lucio has a huge amount of presence and amount of power on our Flashpoint maps, and being able to remove that universal aura, that speed boost that is able to move your team from one stage to the other, even though you can sort of replace it with Juno, it is a big investment to do so.
No doubt about it. And now that we've gotten word on where our next map is going to be, Sirivasa is where we'll go for this next one. And that means a whole lot here, especially with the Lucio. You mentioned it right off the bat. You can find so much value, especially with the mobility. The points that have that are pretty much walled in from the get-go, from every single point that you have. Truly, you can get some value out of that Lucio. But the problem is, like, both teams run it pretty well. So when you ban it, obviously, you can't play it as well. So it does take like a leap of faith in order to really you lock that ban in. But from my viewpoint, I think there's enough to say that, hey, that makes sense to me. But we haven't seen that locked in yet, so we'll see if we get those bans here in a matter of moments. But Sirivasa, a very common one here too. So both teams, they're coming in with these strong strategies. It's just a matter of which direction they want to go in with these bans.
Yeah, we have our first round of bans too here from the Blahaj. We got Ana in Sombra. Sombra's a peculiar ban. I'm guessing it's, well, the way that I would like to read into it is it's more of a targeted ban against what the tariffs seem very comfortable running. Right, we saw on Busan how when they swapped over to Sombra, when it wasn't the EMP that was doing Blahaj in, it was just the amount of pressure that the hack plus virus combo was able to generate and the constant need for healing / support. And on top of that, being able to ban Ana, being able to remove that high level of self-peel, that utility, all that pressure that Ana is able to apply to your team. It doesn't matter if you're running a Winston or a Hazard, even a Ball, right? You're going to feel that that missing void and that lack of self-defense. So that's setting up the Blahaj for a really strong sort of get in your face play style. Right, I'm really interested in seeing how the tariffs are going to try and retaliate.
Yeah, no nano boost on the Winston, which is what we saw early in that Numbani. So without that, it'll throw a curveball. There's no doubt about it. And the Sombra also, catching the ban in addition to it. So no EMP behind the scenes here. So. That being said, less impactful from my viewpoint than the Ana, who can certainly find, especially from a distance, when we talk about Flashpoint, how much distance you have to really cover and be able to, even in transition, if you run into a fight, you won't have that ability to have that support from a distance. And in fact, you won't have support from up close either. The Mora has been banned as well. That's one that we didn't talk about, but certainly one that we had in mind. And then a Tracer ban in addition to that. So if you wanted speed and flanks, at least being able to control from around the point or be able to extend in overtime on the shorter amount of time to capture a point here in Flashpoint, you won't have that one either.
For sure. Now, the tariffs, their bans are very... I want to use the word targeted as well, but they also are smart bans. Not going to target it in particular, but Moira Tracer, right? They really want to sort of kick Blahaj while they're down. Getting rid of such powerful picks and things that they defaulted back to is really going to make Blahaj have to rethink their play style and sort of double down a lot on those core principles that they've been sort of dabbling their feet into. They've been trying to run the Ramatra with the Mei, with the Lucio, but will it come into fruition? Will they be able to do it here, or are they going to have to fall back on something else?
Yeah, it's a great question here. Angel said, hey, I played Orisa extremely well, so we'll see if this lock-in remains here. You never know. You can see some last-second switches, but I've seen Orisa get a lot more play here. It's certainly not speed-worthy, if you will. And in fact, the Orisa will have the Lucio, so they will have that extra bit of speed. Is the hypothesis with the same with the Juno, which we'll see for the very first time, which is wild to me. That's what I see pretty frequently, no matter what map you typically go to at the pro scene, until WCS started to do bans. You see U of T doing the same thing, so we'd love to see this composition as well.
Yep, I'm a very, very big fan of the Malga pick as well. As long as it's not a mirror, I love seeing Malgas come out to play, especially against Orisa. It's one of his worst matchups. And you even see the Venture diving in deep, getting that pressure in. And so far, none of these teams have been able to cap the point. Aspas is forced to fall back from the high ground, and Angel and the rest of their team, the Tariffs, are able to secure first point. Now, it is going to be a little bit of a reckoning for Blahaj. They need to reconsider. They're going to use the speed ring to get in on top of the points, but is it going to be enough? Is getting close to the Orisa really their game plan? They have the Venture diving in deep on the back and able to get the kill on the Angad, but Warfield traces back.
Yeah, again, once you get behind him, but at Venture, you have to be able to have an exit plan in addition to that, because you can't drill yourself out, especially on this point. It makes it very difficult to do so, especially when you have full coverage from the sides like you see that they've had here from the get-go from Tariffs, who continue to tear in to this team of Blahaj, who just cannot find traction. Once again, Angel almost was able to land that javelin also, but really just causing more damage as the break can't get out either. Terra Surge will be in hands. You'll have the beat as well. In addition to that, from Zapdos, you'll have just so much that you'll have to dive into to try to get through. So this first point almost surely secured here by Terras. They did a great job from the back line first and foremost, from the Baptiste, causing damage first and foremost, but then also getting the heals when they needed to as well. It'll be Terras that grabbed the first point.
And Tariffs tear in. I mean, that was a generational quote. I don't think you're going to sneak that one by me, but it was very, very lucky that they're going next up to the fountains. Is that the Tariffs, they have a very strong position already, but you see that Blahaj are rotating around and trying to get onto the high ground, and the turret does fall for Grumpy Muck. It's not the end of the world yet.
They got the overclock as well from a distance. The beat drops just in time, but is it in time? Never mind. Aesthetic did enough damage on the backside of it from that Genji, who just slices and dices all the way through. My goodness, that was a 4 kill in a row. A team kill complete the stock here. We haven't seen them on anything but Tracer, but clearly the Genji is somebody else that you can utilize here. The Tracer, even on that first push, on the first point, did not work out because there's just a few places where you can utilize this. But to get up close and personal certainly worked there for Aesthetic.
Man, the Tracer player has a good Genji? No way. But it is going to be a strong engage and overclock coming through for Asmat, sort of retaliating against this high ground push. And now it's a retaliatory bombing as they're trying to find anyone with low mobility. It's not going to find anyone though.
No, not quite. All right, so they'll have to back up a little bit. Zapdos says, hey, let's wait for this push. You can be patient now. You see it's only 63%. Great deflection here from Aesthetic as well to get up close. Dragon Blade pulled. Now you've got one. You've got Break as well in with you, and Gadget to try to end it. It does get on the back line to get the Sojourn and Aesthetic. So Genji will fall, but not before the damage has been done. Hypothesis now with the Juno does take out, hello? Some Juno on Orisa action, who was low, so you'd love to see them pull out the missiles there to finish it off. We have ourselves overtime as Blahaj looks to finish off this point, but they got a handful of individuals here on the point that they'll have to deal with as well. Hypothesis can't get out the back door. No. Grumpy is on this one as well. Mook, that is able to cause more damage, and it will be flipped before they're able to get the job done here. So an overtime hold off here for the Terrans.
And Hypothesis, unfortunately, not so slippery on the Juno compared to Lucio, and not going to be quite able to make their escape. But now as the fight's going to start ramping up here soon, you've got Torbjorn with the welcome mat, you've got Bastion with another orbital barrage. This is a lot of powerful strength, and Blahaj are forcing themselves in through this crack in the wall. It's not very clear they're going to be able to be fruitful from this expedition.
No, the Javelin didn't land either. Hypothesis still trying to at least gain a little bit of value. They do have the Maka ult in addition to that, but Aesthetic is already down on their backside as well. Angel going to try to push into this one. Dangerous. The Javelin is going to land on Forazic, who at least hold them off, hold them at bay. But Ian got in there as well. Ask Bast able to land a couple with the overclock, now trying to cause even more damage to try to slice into it, but their damage, their HP bar fell very quickly in addition to it. But Mook and Gad also get a fall, so it's kind of a back and forth exchange here as we hit ourselves overtime now. This Maga needs to stay on as long as they can, but they're gonna have a great health advantage. In addition, they just lay into it. Wow, Angel fell quickly. So did Zapdos, as the damage dealers were on point here to flip it. And now with overtime, I don't think they're going to be able to get back onto it. They do, temporarily, at least for now. So now you see the Juno trying to dive in, dive out, and at least give themselves an opportunity, an opening. And Aspath is going to take advantage of exactly that with the overclock. And then you have Forensic and Aesthetic out of nowhere with a great job with the Dragon Blade. In addition to it, to jump right back on, Dr. Tony will grab the rest. 4 down, all off the bat here, and they will get the point after all. So now Blahaj, man, that was much needed there as a point win comes through.
Man, right when you think it's done, right when you think it's over, no, sir. There is more. They have the cavalry arriving. Now, for the first time, it's Blahaj going to be setting up on the point first. They got 10 seconds to do as they please before the cap starts coming online. Now, they do have a Terror Surge ready for the Tariffs, and they also have an Orbital Barrage that is going to be very, very strong for them. They did opt into taking a shield, which is a nice touch against the Mauga.
Yeah, it is. You have to play into with the Passion. Terror Surge didn't gain any kills, at least, or limbs that will just kind of keep them at bay and force them back. Or that Javelin was pretty close to you, but at the front side of that little window that they had, the little choke point, did not land, and it's still just keeping them at a distance here. As you see, it's just a 5-second reload anyways, and so that will cause damage back on to point, where now Hypothesis and Pharaoh are going to combine for a couple. Aesthetic took out one, but Wolf Girl, with that, again, you don't want, as a Baptiste, to be complacent. You want to be able to land some damage, so at least Hypothesis down, which may be big here in this next sequence of the fight, but maybe not enough either, as Aesthetic now from the backside able to tear around to it. And we saw from Pharaohs, and when they're just laying down the gun, sometimes you get a little bit focused in linear fashion. You forget about the flanks at the end of the day, and that allowed this Blahaj team to gain the point back easily.
Yep, and right when Orisa hits level 3, when she gets that shield, that's when she starts being a bit of a menace to Mauga. But Mauga has seemingly been untroubled. They pop the Orbital Ray going around, so they dodge the Baptiste window and are able to get a deflect kill onto Zapdos. That's like 3 layers of damage. As Exxon pops the blade, takes down the Immortality, and then the Baptiste alongside with it. It's a 2-for-1 combo. Grumpy Book gets 2 as well, but Aspas is able to return the favor. Angel drops down low, and this is a massively winning fight for the Blahaj.
You can tell why Ask Bast is just like, again, getting so much value. It's because Sojourn is meant to be a mobile character. The way that they're able to hop back onto it, that jump is just absolutely fantastic to get out of harm's way. Whenever you get the first initial kills, instead of being just there in the moment, instead want to pop the overclock whenever they try to come back onto point in overtime. So hold off with this Immortality field down as well. So that allows Aesthetic to jump in, and Zapdos, well, you're going to fall now that you don't have your protective shield, and over time will tick down, and Blahaj will get their second point, and marching towards this this map point, if you will, as they will capture the second one and go 2-1 with back-to-back point caps.
And Aspas Glazers in the chat, rise up. I see you guys. I see you all hiding up there. You know, this Sojourn has been absolutely on fire. And the Genji has been too, as Blahaj has come alive in a way that I don't think we've seen so far. And, you know, now that we're rotating around the map, we're going to the temple. The temple's a very close quarter point, and it could very well play into the strengths that Blahaj are looking for, but could so easily backfire with how Orisa's just able to trap anyone into a corner and not allow them to leave.
Yeah, Orisha's shield back is just like just causing, you know, all sorts of shakeups with everything else. Yep, Ajax again. So the fall before you're able to get off the ultimate is so tragic. Aspas does get one, but return Terra Surge. Mook combined for a couple here, trying to stay onto it. Angel from the backside, and Mook just causing damage. To switch over to Soldier, it's just absolutely making a statement piece here, as Blahaj will fall. Blahaj, holy cow, Tariffs, and we'll get the point back regardless.
Yeah, but in the chaos, though, Blahaj were able to capture the point. They were able to get that percentage going up, and that took what could have been a very disastrous fight, sort of turned it back in their favor. And the Aesthetic Sock really squeezing blood from that stone, able to kill Grumpy Mook before anything's even happened, with little to no commitments. Now, as the team is rushing in, Mauga is the one to be the footholds, and started the capital yet again.
Oh, they get out and committed pretty far out in Aesthetic. And Askabas gonna make all the rest of them pay, and Faraic was really the one to get it as the melee was able to land on it too. Aesthetic gonna cause a little bit of injury to insult there, if you will. Make it the phrase backwards, as they quite literally threw some bullets right back to the face to get that last kill in addition to it. And they're up to 60%, but this next fight is gonna ensue very much more quickly than they imagined here, as they jump into it. Wolf Girl somehow stays alive with like -1 HP, but they're still fighting for submission. They will eventually fall. That's 2 supports down. The orbital ray out, so they got it off beforehand. So will it be enough to hold them off? Not so much here, as Hypothesis and Faraic combined for 3 more. And this point will be capped, and another map goes into the hands of Blahaj as they will go to match point.
An absolutely beautiful play there on the last fight. You take them fast, you take them hard, and you take them early. Right, make sure that they're not able to get anywhere near the point, doesn't even trigger the overtime. You're able to completely collapse on them as you're walking through the corridor. Here's a little bit of a replay from the last fight through Hypothesis POV. Sort of just being the orbital cannon that takes everyone out. Now, looking at that fight, right, like we've been glazing so many different players this whole series. We've been talking about the tank this, tank that, but then the DPS are showing up now. We've seen how just out of this world deadly Askabas and Aesthetic Sock can both be, even with Aesthetic Sock's main character being banned, right?
Yeah, they find that value again, and I mean, you mentioned it off the rip. If you have a good tracer, chances are you've been playing this game for a really long time. Number one. Number two, the Genji also just, and especially here, yes, the tracer can find you know, lots of damage, especially if you lose track. But at the same time, just the way that the Sojourn was able to catch eyes, the Maka from the front side. In addition to that, when you're having to deal with just so much health and a charge, especially when you have an Orisa whose shield you're trying to rely on, and then you're being dashed in from that side. As long as you can just cause damage from afar and then be able to flank with that Dragon Blade, which we saw a couple of times, that combination itself was pretty deadly. The overclock is also what was popped at the tail end that won Blahaj that map, in addition to it, just by laying in that fist and keeping that at a distance and not being able to get on the point. So that combination of DPS is what we said. They needed some help with the supports that were doing so much work that it didn't work last map, but they were able to bounce back here. And Blahaj, because of that, now is able to call themselves on map point because of the DPS play.
Yep, no, stay tuned. We are going to be going on to a quick 5-minute break. Thank you all for tuning in tonight, and look forward to seeing how this wraps up. All right.
Welcome back to the University of Toronto Intramurals. We appreciate the raid from CGL Console Gaming League coming in hot. Thank you so much for tuning in with us, and we appreciate everybody for coming through as well. Spapples here with Bear Light, and we've seen an entertaining, to say the least, first three maps here, Spapples.
Yeah, it has been indeed. We've seen upsets, we've seen turns, we've seen revenge arcs. There's been a lot going on tonight, but stay in your seats. There's still more to come. We've got Rinasapi as our next map, and we've also got our bans. We got Ramatra and Lucio banned from the SR tariffs. I didn't see that one coming.
I didn't either, to be honest. We saw some Ramatras early, so like I get that from tariffs here, because Blahaj, they did find some value from it. The Ramatra and Lucio, I think, is one that we've seen from the get-go. I think they're just waiting until this map came around for them to jump into it. But Bastion and Ball from Blahaj here. Again, another combination that maybe we weren't expecting. So you mentioned that, but here we go. So on to our next map here. It'll be for push Runasapi. So that being said, now that we know our map here, your thoughts, what heroes, knowing the bands in camp as well.
Yeah, the Lucio ban makes a lot of sense. Is that Blahaj has been running it a lot, especially core with the Ramatra. But what really confuses me, what's racking my brain, is when the Blahaj ran Ramatra, they didn't really see much success. So I'm not exactly sure where they're coming at with this ban. Perhaps it's preemptive, thinking, okay, they picked Ramatra this many times, surely it's good on some maps, right? So they're trying to get that out ahead of the time, ahead of way, right? And getting rid of Ball on Blahaj's side, really just preemptively banning it again, right? Ball is a character that really benefits from these open maps, and push allows for just so much extra mobility, extra health packs. The map is just physically large, so banning Ball, removing that possibility and forcing Tariffs onto something that they might not be as comfortable with in terms of these like long sprawling maps is a very good play for them, to be honest.
Yeah, no doubt. It allows Zapdos to get right back on that Curie, which has certainly been a problem. Wolf Girl on that Ana as well. So that just level and duo of supports really frightens me if you're Blahaj for potentially moving to a map number 5. But we'll have to see, as Angel is going to be Angelaxia, if you will, to say the first name for the first time that we've seen all night long on the Doomfist. Hello, hero I haven't seen in an extremely long time. Speaking of which, Doomfist will be out here in full tandem as Angad as well on the Sombra. First fight will ensue. The Maga able to jump in and dive onto the Brig on the back line, or sorry, those Doomfist on the back line rather. Hypothesis and Asbask able to jump onto Wolf Girl on the tail end of this fight, but still into the fight nonetheless here. But Blahaj is coming up with big picks here. Again, Zapdos, we talked about their Curie and how that might be an issue moving forward, and the dive from Maga should all but secure here the first fight here for Blahaj.
You know what they say, push is a game mode of 2s. You win the first 2 team fights, you're probably going to win this map. It's a very momentum heavy game mode, and seeing how Blahaj was very easily able to just take that first fight is a very good omen for them moving forwards. Now Parake is going to dive a little bit deep, walking right at their spawn and separating Angel from the rest of his team. Angad though is the one to open up the fight with a kill onto their only flex support.
Once again, the dive comes quickly. Brig. It happened in the blink of an eye, and Aesthetic right back on that Tracer is finding damage once more, as this time it's a melee kill onto Zapdos, but Anil will actually return the favor on Askbask, and Paraic was not able to get out in time. This Sombra from the backside able to capture that last kill and tick even closer to that EMP, the second one of this map, if they can get up there. And the Tracer pulse bomb almost up here for Blahaj. We'll see if they can get behind the Doomfist, who has been right up close and personal, which you're keeping a close eye on currently here as we're about to develop into the next fight, and a clean push back here from Terrace.
Yep, in a game of dives, it's going to be a very, very big advantage if you're the one that's running the Doom and the Sombra. Right, now Malga is leading the charge deep in on the fights, but Doomfist, however, is diving in the other backline. Aesthetic Sock with a double kill, and make it a triple. Looking for 4. It's not quite able to secure it just yet. That was a massive fight-winning pulse bomb from Aesthetic.
Yeah, especially when you're diving into the back line, like we saw happen here. Zapdos and Wolfguard let their guard down, but in addition to that, you saw because Angel is forced with the Doomfist to fight offensively, and rightfully so, closer up to the front lines. It just does not allow you to be able to protect yourself from a Tracer in that instance that really forced their hands and did not allow them to come out up on top. And the bot will march quickly back towards the Tariffs positive side, though, as they're able to regain traction within that next fight. Here's Maga still trying to dive into the back line, and Asbask is so far forward. Can the Sojourn land those shots from a distance? The answer is not quite yet, but they are able to lay down a little bit more. Asbask was able to take out Wolf Girl. An important pick there as Ana was an important part of that, but the EMP comes through, and that will make it difficult here as everybody shut down. Mook rather, able to get one on a Hypothesis to trade that one out, and Angel allowed to jump in and actually cluck Aesthetic Suck in the face, and now that will push them and force them backwards here too, and the dive in will again create even more space, and Tariffs will jump into it and be able to take this past the 20-meter mark.
And the amount of heavy lifting this Doom Sombra combo doing is just astronomical, and they're able to make sure that Blahaj are not able to secure that first checkpoint. That checkpoint is so important for the rest of the team. Orbital Ray comes through, and Aesthetic Sock is the one to secure the first kill. Wolf Girl trades it back onto Asfast. The DPS for a support trade, not too bad if you're looking at it from the SR side. Angel is able to kill Dr. Tony next. Now it's just a scramble to secure the rest.
1, 2, 3, Wolf Girl with the melee kill onto Aesthetic, who was just in a compromising position. If you play your cards right, you're able to get into a good spot. So lead taken over by Tariffs with plenty of time left on this clock here, of course. But it's definitely progress made. Like you mentioned, it's a very long map. They will hit checkpoints. That'll be good for them if they can get there. Again, still pushing past this point, and trying to at least keep them at a distance to keep him from that point. We'll see if they use this. Their meteor strike is in hand, and they are pretty grouped up closely. Here it comes. Out they go, trying to get that back line to get the break, but instead they get the Juno instead. Angad is doing massive work here for the Tariffs, really causing damage. First with the EMP a little bit earlier in the remaining fight, but then able to jump into it early in this one as well. The Maga, even though the ult is pulled, they're very low HP, so the trade out is imminent, and Zapdos as well can add on to it as Aesthetic will fall in tandem. Braha now losing members very quickly. When Aspas drop down, so did their damage. Dr. Tony will fall, and Staggered will be Hypothesis, and Tariffs will continue to march forward.
And they are seemingly unstoppable. Paraic does make the swap over to Winston, and if you can't beat him, join him, right? You're gonna have to match this dive at some point and really prevent them from pushing onwards, right? It is a 50+ meter lead now for the Terrace. It's not unheard of to come back from, but it is going to be a very significant uphill battle for the Blahaj moving forward. And now as they're just sort of trying to set up on the left side of the high ground, they're really struggling to maintain their presence on the point.
So try, especially if you lose your on it there. Luckily, Hypothesis was able to get out of dodge, and so is Paraic rather, as they did gain a little bit of help there from Dr. Tony, still staying in the fight maybe a little bit too long. Aspas was not able to get out of it. Dr. Tony will, and so Paraic was allowed a chance to jump up and take out Mook. And now Angad was close to dropping, but Angad always finds a way out. I don't understand how they do it. Oh, it's gonna be difficult now that Zapdos has dropped, and now Wolf Girl might be falling out as well. It's very difficult as Staic now in the mix of things, trying to chase down that Sombra. If you're gonna be able to chase down a Sombra or an Ana, you're gonna be able to do that from the blinks of Aesthetic, who is able to get in, get out, get dirty, and now the bot ticking the other way here for Blahaj.
Yep, now they are able to reset the checkpoint finally, so they're going to be preventing any Tariff advanced spawns moving forward, and they are going to have a very, very nice ultimate advantage. They have the nano boost as well as the overclock, going in deep, getting one kill. Can they convert it to more?
We're hoping so. If you're a Blahaj fan club fan, if you will, they still try to dive in, but because a little bit more. There's an overclock, lands on it, but Mook and Anhel still holding him off from what could have been absolutely deadly. Still has Bass behind them. They pop it just in time to be able to hold them off, as barely getting out with their lives was Wolf Girl, but it was Mook who was able to do enough of it, and so they were able to nullify a lot of those effects, and suddenly the Tariffs are marching the other way.
I mean, we really are just witnessing a war of attrition. 2 minutes and 40 seconds remaining on the clock, and I heavily doubt that the Tariffs are going to be able to close this out. This is going to be another 2 minutes of just constant battling, switching the ownership of this payload back and forth, and really just making sure that they're able to maintain the lead, or at least nullify the leads that the Blahaj are able to get. Paraic and Aspas drop down pretty quickly. Dr. Tony follows shortly after, Hypothesis too. And this is their final march.
And Angel, the way that they were able to trust and rely on the rest of their team and have the confidence to dive in that situation was very key, because he dove into 3 or 4 different members of Blahaj and came out with their lives, and very much so, very confident with it in addition to that. So credit, I was going to say credit Angad, but they will fall. Aesthetic in their face. Overclock pool, they're looking to get some more support, but look at the Primal and the rally combination here from Blahaj trying to hold them back. You're right, chaos, an understatement here, as now Paraic right back into the mix, trying to the Primal, but they will be able to get out thanks to the nano, sorry, not the nano boost, but they were able to rally out rather, as Dr. Tony will be able to get them out of dodge for now for Blahaj, but for how much longer? Looks like they'll be able to hold off. They're going to be able to get up to this point in time. The Meteor is an option here too. They're going to ground pound instead, try to dice them up, but instead they'll catch the tail end of a Zapdos and Angad combination, and Mook comes in from the backside with a couple of their own to finish off Hypothesis at Aspas respectively, and Hell to combine with them, and that's the last direction that you want this bot to be ticking. It's your way whenever you've already got a substantial deficit and with just less than a minute remains here.
You know, that's the brutal cycle of push, is once you get this deep into the map, once they have 138 meters under their control, it's going to be a constant back and forth battle as they're trying to just duke it out enough just to even reset the bot, and then they have to win even more on top of it to get new distance.
You have to be able to be on it from the get-go. Pulse Bomb is going to land here, but they were not able to get the kill because they were able to rally out of it. Zapdos and Wolf Girl Roar in this last fight should secure it at this point in time. I mean, you only got 20 seconds left. They might be able to march it all the way to the ground pound. In addition to it, oh, guess what? Here we go. Map number 5 we go, but Srtariffs will take this one here and march up to their second map win.
Man, oh man, where do I even start? That was such a roller coaster of emotions, at least in the first half, right? You saw how Blahaj, they led off the beginning. They had some amazing plays, such as this beautiful triple kill from Aesthetic, but whenever Blahaj were able to take an advantage, that Srtariffs were able to pay it back with a little bit of interest and making sure that they were the first ones to really touch that first checkpoint. It made all of the difference in this map and really set them up for success afterwards. Is once you have first checkpoint on a push map, the enemy team needs minimum 2 fights just to clear your progress and start making some of their own.
It's very difficult here in this situation, especially if you're Blahaj here, Aesthetics specifically, of how do you go mentally into this next map? Because hear me out, you had the lead. Aesthetics been doing incredible things to find a lot of value on their flanks, a lot of damage that they're able to lay out, you know, when they're able to get to those flanks, but they have to compromise a little bit of positioning in order to get some of that damage. Sure, a tracer in that flank, it matters, but like, at the same time, you have to have some value on the backside. Those 4 that are lined up, you know, Bast, Pharaic, Tony, and Hypothesis, when they're clicking, they look extremely good. But if they're not going to be clicking, it makes it very difficult for you to be able to jump out and trust that the rest of your team's going to be able to hold off some of those pushes, backline pushes. The EMP was deadly from Sombra in a couple of different occasions. If they're not able to hold off and maybe limit some of those issues here, that's going to be extremely difficult. And Sombra is going to be a nuisance because they're not going to be able to ban them again next time. They've already been banned earlier here in this sequence as well.
Yeah, I mean, as we're entering map 5 and we're really starting to reach the bottom of the barrel in terms of what these teams can ban, and it's going to be very difficult to really meaningfully make an impact on what the other team wants to play, especially when you're looking at your support bans or your tank bans. You've already knocked out the first, second, third, and even 4th picks by now. So what are you going to do? Are you going to ban are you going to ban Baptiste, even though he hasn't been seeing any playtime this series? I don't really think so. So we're going to see something probably, albeit a little more targeted or a little more direct in terms of, you know, I want to play poke, so I will ban the anti-poke characters, and just hope that that really puts a needle in the enemy team's side and try and prevent them from really countering what you're trying to accomplish, right? And as we head into this next map, I'm sure that, you know, both of these teams, they've exhausted options A, B, and C, right? So I really want to see what sort of fresh new strategies are able to come up with, like, on the spot on this next escort map.
Yeah, this final escort map, I mean, we can speculate here. And you're right, because you get these like last heroes, and who do you ban? You ban a Tracer? Well, guess what? Both teams have been playing Tracer pretty frequently. Do you ban a Hazard? Hazard can come in handy in both avenues. So it's just, I don't know which direction you go for the bans. As far as escort maps go, also, you know, a situation of what map do you land at? That also plays into what bans we're going to see as well. So it's going to be so difficult to say what bans are going to be. We did lock in a map, though. So for all of you waiting, no more wait. You've been patient enough. Circuit Royale will be our escort map to close us out. In this match will be determined at the circuit.
Man, you know, we were saying earlier, there's not really much that they can ban that will make an impact on the next map. But then they just plot circuit on the table. Right? Blahaj are willing to go all out. Right? And a really nice fun fact is, for those of you that may not have been here at the beginning of the series, is that Widowmaker was banned map 1. So Widowmaker will be available and will be played on this map. And that is a terrifying thought to think of, right? Almost makes me want to sort of wonder, was this secretly some sort of Blahaj super conspiracy? Was this their insurance policy? If things go to map 5, all else fails, we're banning Widow map 1 so she can be picked at the end? Who knows?
Yep, that's exactly right. Let's take a look at our first half of the bans here from Blahaj. Banning Baptiste, like you mentioned, we did see a little bit of playtime and a little bit of damage there done from the tariffs a little bit earlier, but you're right, there wasn't much of that played. But Zarya, I guess so. Like, I can see it here at Circuits. Like, let's just like get this out and say that's not going to play either. Also, some open-ended play here too. So like a Pharah, an Echo, are those up for play, or just like, nah, we're not gonna, like, it doesn't really matter? What's your thought?
Yeah, it could be a nice alternative if both of these teams sort of opt into it. But I feel like a lot of the way that Circuit Royale ends up getting played is that as soon as one team sort of defaults into the double sniper comp, it's very difficult to play other things into it, right? Both of these teams that could walk out of spawn and Pharah or Echo or anything like that and sort of meet each other in the middle. But as soon as one team breaks that silence, then it's sort of all over for that sort of play style. Now, I would be very interested in seeing if there would be any more innovation here. Baptiste being banned, surely, at least in my opinion, seems to suggest that they're going to run something along the lines of Sigma, where you have a shield, but you really don't want supports or enemy characters that are able to, pelt a lot of damage into it, especially with the window being so powerful, right? Allowing your team to have a very high damage amp. I don't know. I'm sort of grasping for straws here, just thinking of what could be played.
Yeah. We're waiting on confirmation for the bans on the other side. I like the Sigma thought, though. I really do, because as a Sigma main myself, just, there's going to be a Widow in that you can literally just dedicate your shield to push that forward to wherever Widow is currently playing and be able to force her down different avenues, especially for Blahaj, who, for example, could play the Sigma and Tracer, where if you force Widow to try to find different sight lines, you might be running her right into a Tracer. So I think that might actually be solid there, if you will. So, but Sigma is going to be banned. So never mind, not gonna have them. Plus the Tracer is gonna come back because there's gonna be no Genji. So aesthetic, I think I know which hero they might pick here. I think I have an idea. Maybe
a little bit of an idea, but with how long and spindly that the map is, I'm not sure if Tracer is the play, right? Well, I mean, if you're a goated Tracer player like Aesthetic Sock is, then you can make it work anywhere.
Exactly.
But
yeah.
That's a lot of friction to be dealing with, and I wonder if perchance, you might be opting into something a little bit easier to run through.
Yeah, it's just a matter of where does that lie? We haven't seen them on anything else. A Cassidy might be a good call here. Double hit scan from this side. The Cass Widowmaker could lay in a ton of damage with the Ramatra to hide behind too with that shield, plus the Ravenous Vortex. If you want to try to escape, you won't be able to. So at least not as quickly, which could come in handy with the Sojourn, whose movement speed they rely on in order to get out of situations. Plus Wrecking Ball, in addition to that, might cause a little bit of chaos. I like the positioning of Blahaj, despite their two hit scan look that we're looking at currently, both sides here, as to be expected.
Yep. Now the Widowmaker Aspas just setting up for that sniper shot. Can he get one off the rip? No, he cannot. But yeah, there it is. There's the Widow mirror. The Cassidy sort of perplexes me a little bit. I'm a little bit confused, but maybe they, saw in their crystal ball that ball would be played and sort of pick that for the hinder and the ability to CC to shut them down. And the Terrorists are making some pretty good headway on the first bit of the map. They're not really going to be forced to they're not really going to face much resistance here from the Blahaj.
Not that's this point. It's very difficult to do when Zapdos on his comfort pick here. I've seen Zapdos play so many times on the Zenyatta. They're going to have to focus on that. They're going to have to try to dive that, but with this poke composition that they're playing right now, that's going to be extremely difficult to do here from Blahaj. So Tariffs in a very solid spot here too, as the Wrecking Ball is just not being tracked either. The Juno is getting basically mauled here at this point, and just Angel is going to be targeted, or needs to be targeted here if they're going to find anything, as a dive in two is going to cause not only just damage, but also being able to just force them to not be able to get on this point. And the first point has been taken so quickly as the payload gonna march there. They'll have 5 minutes on the clock to march to the second one.
You have Angel just being a bit of a menace in the enemy team's backline, but Blahaj, you're finally able to find their footing. They're able to force them to retreat, but the amount of pressure that this ball has been putting in is undescribable. And also just simply existing behind the team in the second point is just doing so much in of itself. And you do have the mines ready for the next fight. Dr. Tony on Mercy has the Valkyrie ready and available to go, but I don't know if it's going to be that fight winner like the other ults are.
Yeah, the minefield is out, so they will control the bend, which is very important too. They're able to knock them off, but it's all flanker out anyways from Blahaj to try to get behind them. They get a couple, make it a third one here as Farake is going to add to that exact same situation and scenario. But they're able to do so with their wand, if you will. Angat trying to get back in, get that last pick in addition to it, but Zapdos is able to combine for a couple, and Tariffs continue to get this payload moving in full force, as well as Blahaj all the way back. Luckily for them, even though there's 4 minutes and still plenty of time for Tariffs to push this next point, this next little bend is going to be very difficult when you have Annihilation, you have Overclock, and you have Deadeye as well to deal with.
Yeah, Overclock finds one from Aspas, and it's just a shooting gallery in the back there. Wow. Falls as soon as well as Zenyatta at low HP gets taken out by Hypothesis. And now with the ball just diving in deep on the back line, just trying to get any pointers while they can. And Angat actually just finding a nice couple kills for themselves. There was a lot of investment in these recent two fights, and to see Blahaj really put their feet down and make sure that, you know, the point doesn't go too much further is very commendable, honestly.
And Blahaj able to keep 3 ultimates in hand as well. So Tariffs is going to be in a difficult spot here. They have mines, so if they can catch them sleeping, perhaps they can find value. But they get already down before they use any of them. And in fact, they don't need any at all, as Aesthetic and Hypothesis will combine for a couple. That was off the Orbital Ray. Never mind. So the Orbital Ray finding some absolute pure battle front and allowing them to dig in their heels in that last fight for Blahaj. And now the points will be stalled in its tracks, and this is where you can really start to set things up. You see the barrier using the exact right place to be able to give them the high ground and be able to cause even more damage with that Sojourn on the side, and Askbast able to take out Wolf Girl from the side. That was Angad rather on Aesthetic before they could get out of dodge, and now they have the Overclock if they want to utilize it as well. Angel already getting some damage with the mines as Mook does take out one. Dr. Tony will get the res, but I'm not sure it's the right time to use it, as Anthill and Mook will combine for a couple, and it will be a wrecking ball, pun intended, here for the Tariffs as they're able to hold off the Blahaj Fanclub.
Yep, the rest of Blahaj actually is surprisingly able to walk back onto the point in the time it took for Farake to get, you know, slowly whittled down to low HP. They're able to sustain and stabilize from there. Now the Tariffs have a difficult situation ahead of them. There's a minute 53 seconds remaining. Ascetic Sock was able to shut down Grumpy Mook. Now with a lot of pressure on the ball, he's going to be able to walk around and, you know, go as he pleases.
Getting damage being laid out here from the distance from the Cassidy too. Transcendence will keep them alive, but that was, I mean, just for safe measure, I suppose, as they were coming at them, but able to get out of there as well, as Gina will get a speed boost out to the Wrecking Ball to cause more, as Angel is just let loose to go ahead and take out Aesthetic on the back lines as well. Second point will be secured with ease here, and 2:43 left to work. Last time we saw the hybrid and pushing a payload, the Terrorists were able to get there to the third point, and Blahaj Fanclub didn't find much value at all. Surely that was the point that caused them a little bit of damage, but Terrorists is really feeling killing themselves right now as far as being able to force them back even further. They also have 3 ultimates in this engagement, but the orbital ray out for Blahaj. That's why you see Anho backing off instead. Not going to take this risk. Aesthetic gets 1 for Ick. Again, able to jump up in that light, if you will, from above, as they will able to get another kill in addition to it. The overclock still in hands. Not going to use it. Not going to need to, as they look to back out of dodge. Angel still on this point, still looking to press into it. Zapdos from the back line, still laying into them just a little bit, as the Vortex will come out and try to get one. Overclock now pulled, and Bats does take it out Angel, and that was great because that was been pestering them for quite a while here, and maybe finally Blahaj trying to gain a little bit of traction, dig their heels in, as they'll finally be able to breathe. No, still catching the wrong end of more damage laid out from Angad. Aesthetic does take out 1, but Angad with the overclock pulling them for even more damage, as they are just pesky on this point. 3 of them still. The wrecking ball on the backside too, and now it's Mercy trying to keep this Juno alive as they're being targeted for sure, but the pound won't do much, and that allows Blahaj to try to stop them in their tracks, still being forced off this point. Juno being targeted hardcore, not able to back off of it either. This point still being challenged, as this Aesthetic still on point and working it, as the recall gonna put them in prime position. They've got the pulse bomb as well, can't get it off though in time, as Aesthetic was able to take out Mook before they're able to do it. They know Tracer very well, and that's why they're able to at least stop them in their tracks with 52 seconds left.
Oh, finally a second to rest up. Gee, that fight went on for a very long time. There's 50 seconds remaining. This is last fight territory. This is do or die for the Tariffs, and they do have some ultimates to allow them to do it as well. The pulse bomb goes wide, and Get is the one to pick up a kill on Aesthetic Sock. The Wolf Girl falls low, gets taken out by the Annihilation. Now the orbital ray on the point, making sure that there's no more damage threats present. Now 25 seconds left. Can the SR Tariffs make it? They do have the time to touch. The ball is coming up through the high ground, but they don't really have the ultimates to back it up. They have the mines. They might be close to Nano, but can they make it work?
They got to play around these mines, and they have to be able to at least kill a little bit of time to be able to get the Nano boost up and then be able to get the wrecking ball in there. But they're not going to have him, as Hypothesis is going to win that first blood exchange and really make it difficult for Forensic able to get the pummel. In addition to that, Aesthetic going to combine for a 1-2-3. Round 1 will be complete before they get all the way there. So Blahaj wanted to make that a point, and at least they're able to hold off. Just 2 points taken, but 88 meters to go after that to continue in and try to win this map number 5. Tariffs did a lot of damage, and they moved that point very far, but my goodness, is it enough?
And that was incredibly unfortunate, watching Anhel get CC chained up on the higher balcony, not able to get onto the point or in line of their supports. It was so close, but so far, right? And because the ball wasn't able to get onto point, they weren't able to use the mines, they weren't able to nano boost the ball to get more time. It was just an ongoing domino cascade effect where what was looking like a really strong position for the Tariffs ultimately really just came down to nothing at all. And then even though Zapdos was able to touch on the brick, it really amounted to nothing, right? Now this again is Blahaj's opportunity. They did what they were unable to last time. They stopped the full cap. Now all they have to do is they have to march this payload up all the way to second point, 88.37 meters, and they can crown the victory tonight. But are they going to be able to do it? It's going to be tight. There's not really going to be any compositional swaps for the side of the Tariffs. We are going to see Mook opening back up on the Widow, but that's likely going to swap about halfway through this round.
Same with Bast. As you see them come up and try to find value, you see the Mook going up way up high in order to try to challenge this one. But I do think it's great for Blahaj to have a goal in mind. The goal, simply put, get all the way, get the payload all the way to the very end, and then that's the way that you can secure this. You don't have to get all the way, but that's like having an end goal might help them here. Finally, you see the Farah come out. I said that might be an option here as this full ditch effort here. Aesthetic has just been been on two heroes all night long. They've been on Tracer, they've been on Genji, but now they're opening it up. I think they had a third one too in Cassidy, but now Pharah to try to change it up defensively, but they're tracked down all the way, and that's going to be difficult to do when Angat has been playing Sojourn as great as they have been. That's why I was a little bit iffy when I saw Pharah come out, because that hit scan can take you out in an instant.
Yep, that cure utility as well, being able to just dodge so much damage from Aesthetic Sock's rockets was absolutely crucial there, and both preserving their lives and preventing the Pharah from getting the kill, getting the resets, and really wreaking more havoc on the rest of their backline. So now that Angat is really sitting in a very, very comfortable, advantageous position, is not going to be really too much challenging that the Blahaj are going to be able to do. Never mind, gets caught out, and Aesthetic Sock is the one to shut her down.
Yeah, Aesthetic again, just on point. Said if I'm gonna take out anybody, somebody is gonna give me trouble. I love that. And Angel once again causing damage. The Widow, great lands, a couple of them too. So Mook was laying into it, but was anybody able to follow up and get that last kill? I don't think so. As he able to get out and get heals. Angel falling though, the tank, the wrecking ball down, which means that you can start moving here if you're Blahaj, which is just in time, just what the doctor ordered, because you've got 2 minutes left to try and get this point, and they've got a great angle to do so to get to this one, but they're gonna need one last push around this corner and able to do it. And that's why we're watching and focusing Aspast right now, because if they can lay on the damage, if they can at all, it would be great. But they're finding lots of damage from Angat, the other Sojourn on the other side with the overclock with a couple of picks of their own. Zapdas will follow through with the kill. They are not able to get the point yet. 3.17 meters left, and they just come up short in that fight, and that is huge because that is a lot of time off the clock as they're able to respawn.
Holy, Dr. Tony barely being able to get out of their alive Mission Impossible type escape. And now, after investing so many ults into the last fight, the Blahaj are running out of steam. They need to make it back onto the point. They need to make it back to the payload, but there's so much standing between them and it. Aspas able to get a kill on the out of position Wolf Girl, and now they need to run.
Yeah, the wrecking ball was in there, try to get the Widow, but they weren't able to get them before they dropped down. But look how much damage is being laid out. Frake had a little bit of help there from the Juno, actually laying in some missiles, some torpedoes officially in order to really take them down, but then got the last hit at the end of the day. And now the Pharah looking to get out of harm's way. The Widow is definitely tracking them down. They got behind it before they got it out. They got Rocket Barrage up. If they want to be able to utilize this one, they need to. As the torpedoes come right back out, cause even more sorts of damage. Here's Anhel trying to get it taken care of Hypothesis. Hypothesis is not the problem. It was Aesthetic, and Mook took care of that with the Widow as well, able to track down that Pharah before they could get the barrage off. That's going to be very, very much an uphill battle because of it. Here as Aspask is going to just try from a distance to get it, but you have to be on point. You can't keep playing from afar. Perea catching hills from the Mercy. Going to go ahead and jump in with the pummel, knowing that you had some support on the backside from your own vortex to try to keep them out. Overtime it is. Still can't get here. It's a matter of just like 3 meters or something, and they finally get it done as they're able to push out. And now the Juno needs to fall here. If you're Aspas, you don't want to fall yourself, otherwise more time off this clock. You've got the reset, but you still only have 220 to get to the next point.
And it always comes down to the wire with these guys. They're just barely able to clutch it out. And Aspas with a beautiful overclock. Now we are we're approaching, we're getting to the second point where you have a lot of free meterage that they're able to get. The ball is intent on blocking it. They are going to have wall hacks just to make sure that everything is under control, and they're going to be able to force them down from their onward ascent. Oh, nice shot there from Grumpy Mook, and that's a double kill so far. 3 kills for the srtariffs. Now, as I was just about to say, the Blahaj got to pick up the pace here. They got 1 minute 30 seconds left. They have 1 minute and 30 seconds ahead of that if they're able to get the second point. But are they going to be able to count to 3 this time? Are they going to be able to take it all the way? That I'm not too sure of, especially given this display.
No, the way that Angad and Mook have been absolutely targeting, this time Angel targeting Mercy. Dr. Tony has not had a chance to breathe, and they haven't had those heals because of it. And you're not going to be able to ride it off of the heals of Juno. Sure, Juno can do a little bit of that kind of for you, as especially if you can land your shots, much like an Ana. But when Mercy keeps falling, that's what you truly rely on. It's not Dr. Tony's fault. It is the fault of Mook and Angad, who have not been able to let them breathe, or the protection for that much. You know, and Farag once more has been targeted themselves. It's so hard to play a tank these days, but it's been so great of a showing from Anhel to try to keep them off from Tariffs, who are just 40 seconds away and just basically one more fight from being able to win this.
You know, High Noon comes through, but it's in a corner, just popping it for the DR. Grumpy Mook getting double kill, and Hell getting a third. It's 30 seconds remaining. Okay, this is your moment. This is when we need you to clutch out Blahaj. You've got the swap over onto the Lucio. Please don't be Lucio Mercy walking out of spawn, please. Aesthetic Sock revisiting their iconic Tracer, and it's just a last-ditch effort to touch the point alone, let alone win this fight.
They need it, but you're right. What is this, 2016? As you see, now the Annihilation going to be denied, as well as Zapdos took them out. Aesthetic going to take out Mook as well. Aspas trying to stay alive, and they will get behind a couple members, but when you have Anhel in your face with a Wrecking Ball and now doing the rest, Aesthetic will fall. So will Hypothesis, and now the overtime is dwindling down. Aesthetic trying to just dive in, blink in when they can. They do have a Wrecking Ball on, so right now they'll be able to stall. But for how much longer? Probably not a whole lot. Farag is going to be absolutely mumbled here in a minute. They've got 3 on them, targeted completely, just trying to dive down to kill more time, but really, they're just getting killed themselves. Overtime over. It'll be the Tariffs. SR Tariffs win this best of 5 by the count of 3-2.
And massive congratulations to the Tariff here on such a hard-fought victory. And just looking at it, no point during any of these maps was I sure who was going to win or how they were going to do it. And you've seen some amazing plays. You've seen Faraic, you've seen Askbast, you've seen Anhel. Everybody has just made clip-worthy moments this entire series, and I'm just still blown away that this is how it ended.
I am as well, to be honest. You know, Blahaj started strong, and Terrace had an answer for them every single time. They brought out a comp that maybe was a little bit unfamiliar, you know, to them in the moment in the particular map, but they did a great job to utilize Mook especially, who came out huge, who we didn't really call a whole lot of, to be honest, but like that Widow play was absolutely dynamic completely. We didn't call out Zapdos either with their switch over. I know Zenyatta is obviously can find a ton of value, but then you know, their switch over to Curie on that defensive side was absolutely dynamic. The Kitsune rush was what led them to a desperate overtime push, because that last fight just before they needed to go to overtime was won completely off the back of that Kitsune rush, and Mook and Angad combining for a couple themselves, and then Zapdos getting in on the love to take out Aesthetic as well. So and Dr. Tony, so that combination between those two was absolutely spectacular. Their support play was the reason why they were able to carry through in this win in a big way, and Tariffs able to take it, because you're right, Blahaj Fanclub, I thought they're going to take it after that first map. Credits to the Tariffs who were able to take this best of 5 win.
Yeah, now we are going to send you guys over to a quick 5-minute break, and then we'll be back with a very exclusive interview with their very own SR Terrace player. You're starting?
Welcome back to, again, the University of Toronto intramurals for Overwatch 2. And we have with us Ingad, MVP, if you will, for the SR Tariffs. So, Ingad, first of all, congratulations. And I wanted to ask you, it took all 5 maps. How you feeling after a grindy game like that? And how you feeling after that big win?
Thank you. Honestly, it was close. It was very stressful. It was really nerve-wracking, especially losing the first map and always being down. But I had a really phenomenal team. We had great comms, and we were able to pull through.
Awesome. Spaffles, I'll go over to you.
Yeah, so I mean, throughout the series, we really saw, all the members of the team really firing on all cylinders there. What was your personal take on how you played in those matches? How do you feel as the breakout DPS player?
It was really I felt a lot of pressure, to secure those frags and those picks. I even pulled out the Bastion to see if see if we could get some momentum out. And first point, it ended up working out a little. So I'm very happy with the way I performed, and obviously there are some mistakes I made, but we'll VOD review that and iron those out.
No doubt about it. And then we talk about the support from the rest of your team here. I mean, Angel was absolutely phenomenal as a tank that constantly gets targeted. You could say the same with Zapdos as well, who is incredible. Really, just the entirety of your unit. But how great of a statement is it to have a support unit that you can count on, like Zapdos, like Angel, to get in there and do the jobs they need to, so that way you can focus on yours. How important is that?
I think it's the most important, if not if not the most important, because with a good backline, it allows me to take those forward positions and be able to play really aggressive and take off angles that I wouldn't be able to otherwise. So I'm very fortunate for the team I was given.
No doubt about it. Well, I think last shout outs, I suppose, before we let you go here.
Yes, sir. Of course. I want to shout out my amazing team, Perry, Angel, Moog, Zapdos. I couldn't have done it without them, of course. Then I want to shout out my supporters from the Marvel Rival side, Ryan, Primus, Smoogetti in the chat, hyping me up. Could not have done it without their support.
Fantastic. We really appreciate you being here. And again, congratulations on your big best of 5 win here.
Right, thanks for having me, guys.
100% awesome. Again, great night to Intramural UT, of course, University of Toronto Intramurals. And we want to let you know this is sponsored by BMO to help you focus on what's important. BMO is checking and saving accounts, credit cards, and borrowing options specifically designed for students. Plus, get up to 12 months of Domino's Pizza, by the way. Worth $190 in case you're wondering, with BMO's current student offers. So visit bmo.com/students for details and listen. Spaffles, we listen to an incredibly talented student here at U of T, as again, Angad had some great things to say, and Tariffs with the victory here tonight.
Yeah, it was just absolutely wonderful to see, and what an outstanding sportsman player. It was really, really wonderful talking with him. When we reflect on that series and we really look at all those moving pieces that really made things work, do you have any particular players? I'm not asking you to name your favorite, but who do you think was the MVP for that series in your opinion?
It's tough because Mook had some big moments, and Zapdos certainly held it together like glue. Angad, in addition to that, was making big plays and came up with a lot of picks, and you heard what he had to say. Very humble individual and did a great job. But I think the tank is really first and foremost what mitigated a ton of the damage, and then was able to allow everybody else to go to work by simply being that dangerous individual that everybody had to worry about. So I give my MVP to Angel here on my side for just an incredible usage of that tank role, despite being targeted. Just did an excellent job to stay strong. So that's my vote for an MVP. Very, very excited to hear yours as well.
Yeah, I mean, just like you said, I really had to puzzle over it, thinking about how all these pieces came together, how Mook and Engad really brought the pressure and brought the heat when it mattered. And, I love that outside of the box thinking that brings you picks like Bastion that just throw things into the mix and make sure that you keep the enemy on your toes, and you're also fighting to win some of that back. But I mean, just like you said, is Angel's presence is that even while you may not notice it specifically, that alone speaks volumes to how well they were able to play their roles. And it always felt like no matter what was happening, the Tariffs could really rely on him to make sure that the correct things were being done in the correct places, and the flexibility and the ability to swap the different characters was all very, very impressive. So I guess that makes it right 2 out of 2. And Health, congratulations on being the caster voted MVP. And I would like to thank you all for slugging it out with us, hanging out for a few hours on your Sunday nights. And we really appreciate everybody who comes by and watches the stream. Thank you so much to CGL for the raid. And yeah, thank you all so much for coming in. I've been Spaffles. That's been my co-host, the ever lovely Bear Light, and we'll see you guys next time. Have a good night, everyone.